just do the prayer, listen to the prayer.
Sahanavavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Okay, welcome back. Once again, one more week, same challenges. But I hope and pray that all of you are safe, secure, and continue to work remotely. And before we get started, as always, let's just pray for the healthcare workers who are working 24/7 and protecting us. And also just pray for the victims of this pandemic, because there are a lot of people. Now it's a reality. Earlier, means 4 months back, it was an incident in China, and then started slowly it became nearer to you, and now it's a reality. A lot of people in our own community may have it. So let's be careful, let's be prayerful, and I'm sure, again, I'm really optimistic and positive that this will be under control very soon. So let's keep on praying, and let's keep the hope and move ahead, because this gives, like, just see this as another opportunity to learn, study, and also do something which you cannot usually do always. So sometimes that happens.
Yeah, Rajesh, one thing, that our community is actually making masks for the healthcare providers. So I'm sewing at home, and so many of us are doing it. So today we delivered like 1,122 masks.
Wonderful.
To New Jersey, New York, Texas, and Kansas City.
Are you part of that N95 group, the WhatsApp group?
No, this is actually Meena Shankar is coordinating, and
Meena
so
Shankar,
many of us around the area are sewing, and there are so many groups here who are sewing and donating.
I'm really happy to see that. Yeah, I'm really happy to see.
There's a big, sorry. There's a big group, which is called the N95 Mask Mission Team, which is all over New Jersey. So I was just wondering if your group is part of that.
No.
Okay, because they have chapters in every township now that they're all making masks.
Yeah.
One thing that makes me amazed is this situation, how it brought. There are something in each one of us which is caring for others. So that is being kindled. And I could see that even in India, everywhere around the world, how right now people realizing that certain things are, you may have everything, you may have billions of bank dollars, but certain times all these things becomes completely helpless. So Gina, glad to hear that, and thanks for sharing it. And
the reason why I shared is that if there is anybody who know, like, just let them know, so they may.
Please put that in our group. Like, these are exceptions. Typically, we tell people only to put what is relevant to Gita, but this is an exceptional situation which needs everybody's attention. So please feel free to post in our group, and anything like we can do, right?
If you can share the number that they can connect you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent, Gina. Thank you very much. And everybody, like, please do these things, because I'm going to talk about karma if time permits. So today, what we will do is we'll cover 2 verses, 26, 27, and then we will quickly. There was one question I've been getting from multiple people. People were calling me offline also. Somebody wanted to understand, not somebody, a lot of people wanted to understand an end-to-end view of the laws of karma. What exactly the scriptures talk about the law of karma? Is that just fate? They wanted to stop, because I think I talked about that piecemeal, like what is Sanchita karma, etc. I talked, but people were asking me to talk about that from an end-to-end perspective. And in fact, verse 27 is going to refer about this law of karma. So at least I thought, let's take a pause. And then when I was just looking at how it is being perceived by the community uh, about the law of karma, I found it is completely different from that of scriptures. So I thought, why don't we talk about that little bit detail and try to have a clear understanding of what is the law of karma. And we'll start from the scientific basis. And there are certain things which we cannot explain with science. So we will explain that also. And we'll try to give an end-to-end picture so that all of you have a clear understanding of what is the law of karma. So that is one of the long awaited discussion. So this is the time to do that. So with that, we will do a quick recap. Last week, we completed one of the key topic from the second chapter, because the first 10 verses of the second chapter is basically, it is a restatement of the problem. The problem is that I'm subjected to sorrow. I am at risk in getting into a sorrow. Different scenarios or situation can trigger that sorrow, but I am subjected to sorrow. It could be a health issue, it could be a pandemic, it could be a financial issue, it could be the fear of death, but I am subjected to sorrow. So this teachings of the Bhagavad Gita should help me from coming out of that risk. So Krishna started by saying that Gatasun Agatasumscha na anushojanti pandidaha. Pandita, it's not the typical panda which you see in North India. Panda typically in North India is a priest, the one who help you to do the ritual. That is not what we meant here. The real panda is the one who knows the self or the Atma properly. He is known as panda because he won't get into a depressed mood. Krishna said that. And for that, he tried to explain the three different dimensions of a jiva. Jiva means the one who has life. So any living being has three dimensions. We talked about that. There is a physical body, there is a subtle body known as soul also, and there is an Atma. And what exactly is the nature of each one of this, and what is the longevity of each one of this, and how each one of us operates. We saw everything. And Krishna was trying to point out the fact that in reality, the real nature of each one of us is Atma. Subtle body as well as the physical body is a gadget given to you. And the problem is you identify with your gadget and you take your gadget as yourself. And as a result, the longevity of the gadget belongs to the longevity of myself. And all the pluses and minuses of the gadget becomes the pluses and minuses of myself. And the Atma's nature can be summarized in 7 points. It is Nitya, means eternal. It is Satyaha, it is the absolute reality. So it is the independent reality. We talked about that. And Atma Sarvagataha, we saw that it is all pervading. It pervades everywhere. And we saw that it is Ekaha. There is only one Atma for the entire universe. And then Aprameya, it cannot be known through the usual means of perception. So we saw that. And then it is Akarta and Abhoktaha. It is not an agent of action and it is not an object of action. And it is Nirvikalpaha. It is not subjected to any modification. So with that, we said, and Krishna concluded, therefore, there is means knowing that you are the real Atma, there is no need to get into a depressed mode. That much we saw. So now we go to verse 26. But here the problem is, it's very nice to see that Atma is Nityaha, Sarvagataha, all pervading, no modification. But that's not what my real experience is. Typically, each one of us, you and me, always take myself as the body. When I say myself, I always identify with myself. And I put my date of birth as some number. And I always identify myself, and I will, means my color. I'll say that what exactly is the color of my body, and my age. Everything is, we talk in the day-to-day reality, in the transactional world. We are not the Atma. We always identify with as the body. So when we strongly identify ourselves with the body, what is the, means how do you handle this situation? Because the death and birth are realities of life, and you identify strongly with the body. So in that perspective, if you take that point of view, because Krishna, it means you can explain about Atma in as many words as he wants, but if my identification is with the body, how do I cope up with the situation? So that point of view is explained. This is why this verse is an alternate point of view. The next few verses are alternate point of view. And the point of view is that you are identifying with the body. And if you really think about that, that's exactly what each one of our experience is. The current state, we always identify with body. So if we identify with the body, is there any legitimate reason for getting into a depressed mode? So let's see that. Anu, are you in the call? If you're there,
Yeah.
we can chant.
Okay. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि.
Very good. Let's try to see the word by word meaning, and we will see the summary also. Atha chainam nitya jatham cha enam, meaning that Atma. Atha means now. So far we discussed a topic with a point of view that your true nature is the Atma we talked earlier. So now Krishna is taking a different point of view. So he tells Atha cha enam. In case if you think that this yourself is nitya jadam, is eternally born, nityam vamanyate mritam, it is ever dying. That means it is constantly, means every time it is born and it is death. So it is getting born and dying every time, because Atma's nature was not like that. We said that it is not born and it is not dying. Whereas the body, it gets, means there is a birth and there is a death. So if it is getting born and dying at constantly, so nityam va manyate mritam. If you consider that this Atma is, means it's like your body, it gets born and it gets dying. Then Krishna tells, Tathapi tvam mahabaho. Even then, even if you take yourself as the body, so if you take yourself as the body's limitation becomes your limitation. If you take yourself as the body, that means birth and death is a constant, unchanging phenomenon. Even then, Krishna tells, Nainam shochitum arhasi. You should not get into a depressed mode.
Was he talking about the subtle body being born and destroyed again and again?
Yeah, he's going, means first of all, he's talking from the physical perspective.
Physical body. Okay.
Yeah, physical perspective, but subtle body also will come into. But what is your experience? Your experience is that whenever you open your eyes and see everywhere, right? Every day you see hundreds of births.
True.
Every day you see hundreds of deaths.
Right.
And nowadays it's more. So you see death and birth everywhere. And if you think that that is the reality of life, because earlier we said the death and birth is only for the gadget. So now he's saying that if the death and birth is for yourself, even then you should not get into a depressed mode. Why? He's going to explain. So this is we are taking a turn right now. So far a set of argument was given. And even if you cannot conceive that argument, and if you think that what you see is the reality, then there is no need to be worried. This is the style of the scripture. Because otherwise you talk about a state which you never heard and experienced, and you say that that state is okay. That is not the right way. It has to be connected with your day-to-day experience. So that's why this verse connects you with exactly what you experience on a day by day basis. So this is the sentences. Atha chainam nityajadam. And if you think this Atma is to have constant birth and death, then also you should not have any sorrow. So this is the alternate point of view. So forgets all the Vedantic views and take the view of a ordinary layman. If you look at Atma, keeping with the body, like always born and continuously born and dying, then also there is no need to get into a depressed mode. Now, he is going to explain why, because this is a connecting verse which connects the train of thoughts of the previous verses to the next set of verses. In the next set of verses, he put forth his argument. So that's what it is. So this and the following stanzas are the argument from a kind of a material. It's not entirely materialistic, but which is closer to the materialistic point of view. What is that point of view? Direct perception is the only truth. If I see it, I believe it. I see that means people are dying every day and people are getting birth. You are seeing birth and death every day. If that is the case, how do you explain that? And how do you make sure that you are not getting into depressed? So this type of argument is constantly used in our literature. And this is known as Kanika Vijnanavada. This is a technical term used in our scriptures because they wanted to make sure that all the point of views are covered. It is not just that one point of view is covered. So I'll just share you one example. In ancient times, like when there was a difference of opinion, two scholars used to get together and they used to have debate. Means you could see that debate in Buddha's time, and you could see such debates during Shankaracharya's time. So how do you do that? When two people sit together, or when you write a thesis which breaks the other person's argument, first thing you have to do is you are supposed to represent the other person's point of view in a way satisfied to the other person. This is for what? This is to ensure that you studied the other piece properly. Because otherwise, nowadays, modern argument is that you just look at his fault alone and try to break it. So you are supposed to learn that and you need to make sure, you need to get certified from the other person that you know this subject. Then only you are supposed to argue. That was the honesty, intellectual honesty. So that's why you can see in every scriptures, they cover all the different point of view. So this verse is a connecting verse, which is going to get us connected to the next verse. And the next verse is going to talk about the facts of life. So I know, if you don't mind, you can chant.
Yeah. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuh dhruvam janma mrutasya cha tasmad apariharyethe natvam shochitum arhasi.
This is one of the beautiful verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So I would say, consider this as one of the key verses. When we talk about the 18 key verses, we already talked about the 2. And this has that much value. This is such an important verse. It talks about a universal fact of life. Let's try to understand that. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. Dhruva means certainly. Firm, certainly, 100%. Whoever that is born, there is when somebody is born, there is one thing is 100% certain. What is that?
What is it?
When somebody is born, there is only one thing that is certain. I cannot say that he's going to become an engineer. I cannot say that he is going to live 100 years. I cannot say that he is going to marry one person. I cannot say that he is going to be successful or not. But I can say one thing for sure. What is that?
He can die.
He will die. Some point of time, he will die. So that is the first point. Whoever is born, he will die. Then Krishna is making one more point. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So whoever is dying, he's saying that for sure they will born again. That part is not our direct experience. That's what I was telling earlier. It is not 100% materialistic. The first line, you can see that that is 100% materialistic. No, everybody will accept it without any questions. So he said that it is 100% certain that whoever is born, they will die. And then he will say that whoever is dying, they will born again. So then he say that tasmat apariharyarthe. So the death is certain for anybody who is born. And he say that that is aparihara. It is choiceless. It is inevitable. Nobody can solve that. Natvam shochito barhasi. So if there is a fact, this is the argument. If there is a fact, you are going to cry about that fact. What benefit, what change it is going to make on that fact? Think through that. So if you step into water and you get wet and you are going to cry, you are going to make a lot of problem saying that I got wet. Is that going to change the situation? As long as you are in the water, you will get wet. Like that, if you're born in this world, 100% you will die. And he say that if you're dying, you will born again. So these are unchangeable fact, choiceless fact. And there is no point, or an intelligent person should not get depressed because of this. Of course, there will be sadness. We are not talking about that. You should not be sad. You should not get into a depressed mode or over the facts that cannot changed. So let's see a little bit more. So the first part is, he said that death of what is born is 100% certain. That is sentence number 1. Sentence number 2 is birth of what is death is certain. So the first sentence, I'm sure all of you can accept. Second sentence, you may say, wait a minute. How can you say that? That's not my experience. How do you prove it? I cannot prove it. And that is where I wanted to bring the karma theory. So to explain the sentence 2, we need to understand the karma theory very logically. And sentence 3 is saying that, therefore, regarding the object which is not avoidable, regarding the choiceless situation, you should not grieve, or meaning grief means not the normal grief. Do not get depressed. So this is the point. So let's try to see a little bit more. This is an important verse because it is a practical wisdom. Because they say what cannot be cured. What is the statement? Do you know that? What cannot be cured? What is what the modern world tells us? The counselors tells us. What
endured, yeah.
Must be endured. Yeah.
Correct. What cannot be cured should be endured. Otherwise, I'm subjected to failure. I'm subjected to failure if I cannot endure that. So this verse is a perspective from common sense. The message of the Gita here is accept choiceless situation. It is an important lesson of the Gita. And I've already invoked one of the famous prayer called Serenity Prayer. Anybody remembering what is the Serenity Prayer? Oh Lord, what is that? Serenity Prayer.
Yeah, grant me the serenity
Yeah.
to accept the things I cannot change.
Correct.
Change the things that I can change,
Exactly.
and courage to change the things that I can change, and wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly. So this is what we are talking here. And if you remember on verse 13, Krishna explained this. Not 13, I think 14. Krishna explained this. How to develop this skill. The skill of accepting the choiceless. Accepting means whether you like it or not, you have to accept these things, right? Even if I say that I do not accept, is there any choice for me? Absolutely no choice. So typically people accept this with murmuring, grumbling, crying, and making other people, everybody else miserable. This is how typically we accept it. So here Krishna tells, right? You accept with understanding and without these extreme reactions. And he said we have to develop a skill. And what was that skill? We talked about that at that point of time, if you remember. Titiksha. Right? The verse 14, we talked about that skill. We wanted a discipline to be developed mentally. And that discipline is known as titiksha. The discipline is known as sahanam sarvadukhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam. So this ability to accept everything that I cannot change with a positive mindset, that is what is titiksha. And if you remember, I went to the scientific studies referring to this particular skill, and I talked about two skills. One is called threshold of pain, and the other one was tolerance of pain. Right?
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yes, yes.
So the threshold of pain, the tolerance of pain, we saw that with practice it can be improved. With practice, it can be improved. So I referred the 2-3 scientific research paper, which clearly tells that. So this is what is being discussed here. Because otherwise we are putting ourselves into failure, setting for failure in life, if we cannot develop the skill. So we need to develop, this is a learned skill. We all can learn that. And later Krishna is going to give us some wonderful technique, how to learn the skill of titiksha. Because having this titiksha is going to help us to face firmly even death. Shakespeare said, like, the coward will die many times, but a courageous person will taste the death only once. Brilliantly explained by Shakespeare. Vivekananda was a big fan of this. He explained this to a lot of people many times, many places. So this is a skill we need to develop. So from a common perspective, even if you don't believe in Atma, if you think that death is certain for everybody, still you should face it, because what choice you have? You have no choice other than facing it. So this is what it is said. But I wanted to go back and understand one idea, because you all agree with the fact that death is certain for anybody who is born. But birth is not certain. Means, how can I say that? Or how can Krishna say that? Birth is certain for anybody who is dying. So that part needs a little bit of analysis. For that, we need to understand karma. But before that, couple of more points. So whoever that is born will have to die one day. So anything that is born is subjected to death. It is proved by all the 3 pramanas. Pramana means, we already talked about that, a means of knowledge. So the 3 means of knowledge, one is direct perception, second one is inference, and the third means is scriptures. So the direct perceptions tells me that anybody who is born will die on one day. Logically, inference, I can clearly tell us that anybody who is born will die one day. And the scriptures also tells me that. So it is Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhava. All the 3 pramanas aligned, no confusion. And we can see that even the avatars, the so-called incarnations of God, there was a Rama, there was a Krishna, there was a Christ, there was a Muhammad, who is a prophet, and there was Mahavira. All these great sages, Ramana Maharshi, modern time, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, all these saintly people, they also eventually had to give away the life. So how can you expect yourself to be infinite life when even these great avatars has to leave the body? So the first lesson we need to learn to accept life and death as an intrinsic path, means part of our life. It is to happen. Two stories. One is, you might have heard this story. So Lord Buddha, once while he was wandering, one mother came to him and saying that my young child passed away. Can you save him? Save him. You know that story? Anybody heard of that story? Very popular story in Buddhist tradition.
No, Rajaji.
Okay, so Buddha was completely shaken by this mother, right? She said, like, this small child passed away. Everybody says that you are God's incarnation, so you can give life to him. Buddha said, yes, I can do that, but you have to do something for me. Go to a house in this village, any house, it doesn't matter, and get me a little bit of mustard seeds from one house where there was no death. This lady went to every house in the village, and she could not find one house where there was no death happened. So with that, she turned into a monk. So Buddha was trying to teach her that it is a fact of life. Another story, just to make it a little bit fun. So in Mahabharata, there was a famous conversation with a Yaksha and Yudhishthira. You all know the context? One day, these Pandavas were in exile. They were in forest.
Yes.
So they were really thirsty. So the youngest Pandava, Nakula, Sahadeva, went to fetch some water. So when he reached a river, he saw a yaksha, or a bird, in fact. The bird said, you can take the water after answering my question. He didn't mind. He took the water and drank. He fell down and died. So that happened to Nakula, Arjuna, Bhima, and finally Yudhishthira came there. Yudhishthira saw that all the four people lying down dead there. So Yudhishthira asked, what can I do? He said, answer my questions. So he became an yaksha, and he asked him 6 questions. And Yudhishthira successfully answered that question, and then this yaksha make everybody free. That's the story. But one of the question was, what is the biggest wonder of the world? Anybody know what that answer? What answer Yudhishthira was given?
That people are afraid of death.
No, actually he said people are seeing death every day, but nobody realizes that I also need to.
They are also going to die.
Yeah. That was a very satisfactory answer to Yudhishthira. We all read newspaper, right? When this whole pandemic happened in China, what was our reaction? Honestly, touch your heart and tell me. You all felt sad. I know that. We all are good people.
But
You all
that it won't happen to us.
Yeah. But slowly, a couple of cases reported in United States and a few cases reported in India. Mind you, the perception has slightly changed. Now it's in North Brunswick and South Brunswick. Means every day somebody comes and read a paper. Today, another 2,000 infected cases and another 500 deaths. You get scared.
Okay, now it's suddenly close to you.
Correct. So you typically don't understand. See, just because you're exposed to knowledge, that doesn't mean that you have the knowledge and wisdom usually. That has to come to you with proper understanding. You have to assimilate that knowledge. And this death, we have to understand. And we have to be ready for it before it drags you. So that's what we need to do. Over a period of time, you will see that. This fear of death. And next year, New Year Day, what we are going to, first week after New Year Day, God willing, we can open the center and publish. We are going to do a meditation. Near-death meditation. That's a very powerful meditation which can change your perceptions a lot. So this is given by the scriptures. So death is introduced very positively, and we will talk about, in the Vedanta classes, eventually we are going to cover Kathopanishad. which means a dialogue with the death. So we need to understand what is death, and we need to be ready to face it, because don't think that it's happening everywhere else in the world and I'm exempted. That's impossible. Everybody has to face that. Couple of other stories also, and this is just it's a direct experience of me. So one of our teacher, Swami Dayananda, he was from Tamil Nadu. He was, means you, most of you know him. So his final days, we all were exposed to that some way or the other. He got seriously sick when he was here in Pennsylvania, and he had to be airlifted to India, like because he had a vision. So before airlifting to India, he came to the ashram in Pennsylvania and he gave a talk. I think it is there in YouTube. I will send a link if I can find, but at least the transcripts are there. He could not even speak. And the content of that speech was, in 2 weeks' time, you will hear a news. What was that news? Swami Dayananda passed away. And he quoted this verse. See, you all are not ordinary people. You are all exposed to this teaching. So you have to take this news very positively. And this is the verse he quoted at that time. So this verse, it struck in my heart pretty much. And he just explained that and he laughed. And somebody was asking him, how can you laugh at this point of time? His answer was, see, with this attitude, I have the next 14 more days. If this is not my attitude, I'm already dead. That's it. So this is another big experience. So with that, so some facts of life. Death is certain for anything that is born, and rebirth is certain for anybody who is dying. This is the law of karma. We are going to talk about that, so don't worry about that. The first part, that's covered. So there is no need to worry or get depressed over this choiceless situation. An intelligent person should gracefully accept this choiceless situation. And you can see the modern management, what is being taught to CEOs, etc. Very recently, I saw this statement, exact same statement. You have to accept gracefully the choiceless situation. Sometimes this pandemic is happening. A lot of companies are going through a lot of difficulties. So insurance companies, as we know, the claims, because the death claims has increased exponentially. Non-business has stopped. So sometimes you have to accept it, because it's not the end of the world. You have to somehow get out of it and then move. There is no point in getting depressed with this. So a couple of things means how to accept this choiceless facts. One method is understand the fact of life and pray to God for developing a psychological immune system. Because nowadays we always hear how to develop this immune system. You all know that, right? So there are a lot of natural antibiotic. For example, our turmeric, our ginger, our honey, and apple cider vinegar. All these are natural antibiotic. If you take these properly, it can improve your immune system. Second thing is that you have to make sure that you are invoking your relaxation response. It's a must thing. If you want to make your immune system strong, if you are in that stressed mode, your immune system will not work at all. So this immune system, you need to make sure that the relaxation response is continuously triggered. So I requested Gina to start a meditation session from next Sunday. So every Sunday morning, she will do a Zoom meditation session, clearly focusing on this relaxation aspect, and all of you can join. So, because it is extremely important in this situation to get relaxed. Means these are tools and techniques by which you can relax. So the point Krishna is making here is that just like the physical relaxation, just like you make the body's immune system stronger, you have to develop an immune system for the mind. So immune system for the mind is typically a lot of things can pull your mind down. So how do you develop that immune system, an inner power, and how to tap your own internal potential? It is means prayer is a powerful means. 12th chapter, we will see that in detail. But see, these points, whether you don't believe in Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta, Dvaita, it doesn't matter. Developing the mental immune system, the psychological immune system, it is not only required for Indians or Hindus or those who are the admirers of Krishna. It is universal. That is why Krishna is a universal teacher. It's not that everybody is going to see him as a universal teacher. This teaching is applicable to everybody. So how you have to develop an internal immune system, or you have to strengthen your internal immune system so that I can face the facts of life. This is what the essence of this verse. Clear? If that is clear, we'll use the 15 minutes to start with the karma theory, and we'll have to continue that next week. So, clear so far? Any questions?
Rajesh ji, Sanjay this side.
Yeah, hi Sanjay.
So one question. So then we call something called that Amar, right?
Yep.
How do we relate that with what we have? Like everyone who has born will have to be died.
So what you call as Amar is Atma. So that was the first topic of discussion. So Krishna said, essentially, your true nature is Amar. Amar means not death. So that is your true nature. But that is not what you're understanding, because every creature in the world is afraid of death. Why? Because they always identify with the body, and the body is subjected to death. So till you transition your identity from this mortal body to the immortal Atma or the self, this fear of death is there for you, 100%. So this verse is telling that if you are identified with this body, and if you think that this body is subjected to death at certain point of time, still you should not get depressed, because even God cannot change that. That's a fact. And there is no point in, even if you sit and depress for the entire life, that situation is not going to change. Of course, you have to do everything to sustain the life as much as possible, but know that whatever you do, right, it can go up to 120 years or 130 years, nothing more than that. So learn to face the death, because if you face it, you are good. Otherwise, someday each one of us will have to face the death, 100%. It might be after 50 years, or it might be after 100 years. I'm sure before that, but one day you have to deal with that. And I told you the story also, right? Rockefeller told Vivekananda, I have enough money, I don't have any problem. What your teaching is going to do, help me. And his response was spontaneous. His response was, this teaching will help you to face the death properly. He was stunned. So that famous conversation between Vivekananda and the businessman Rockefeller. So with that, any other questions? Please ask. Otherwise, we have to spend probably the entire next week, but at least we will get started with the law of karma.
Rajesh, will this be a demotivation for people not fighting for life? Because anything you can say that there is always in the end, like, so why should I fight for it, right?
No. Yeah, so that's another thing, right? So if you think about the serenity prayer, because your life is considered as precious, and you have to do everything you need to sustain it as much as possible. So what we are saying is that choiceless situation means, I think I use that word later. So after putting every effort, if you cannot, means there are certain times, because let's say that you can sustain your life for 90 years or 100 years or 120 years, but there will be some time you don't have any choice. So we are talking only about, I think Shankaracharya and put a comment at the end of this verse. He tells that this is not an excuse to ignore your body or somebody else's body. Absolutely. This is to face the reality at a choiceless situation. That's it. This is just preparing ourselves for that. And let's talk about the law of karma. It talks about that part also a little bit.
I mean, sorry to interrupt. Adding on to Magesh what said,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people after old age, they kind of say, I'm fed up with living anymore. I don't want to live anymore, because all their stuff is done. The kids are grown, they have their own life and everything, and they're alone. Their husbands are dead, they're probably widows. And they get to a feeling where there is no need of me to be living anymore. And they say, like, that's all. I don't need to do anything. I just want to die
Yeah.
peacefully. I don't want to live anymore. There's nothing for me to do.
That's
Uh,
an
how do
extreme
they
negative
change?
way of, no, I think it is going to come a little bit later, right? When I think that I'm done,
Right,
because there's nothing else for me to do, right, or accomplish, or
right,
at least there are two scenarios. One is I feel that there is nothing else for me to accomplish. I'm sure that is not what the problem with all these people. Second thing is they think that nothing more and I will not be able to accomplish. There are goals, but I'm incapable of doing that, right? That's the problem is because they think that by taking care of their wife, means the children and financial status, everything is done in their life.
right.
Absolutely not, that is the case. So what is the goals of your life? Means we talked about that in the purushartha also later point of time. So later point of time you will see that a revised goal is set for your life, and 100% most of us will not be able to attain that destination, but as much as possible we can go there. So see, the Gita, it is going to change everybody from a, first of all, that type of approach is called tamas, means we'll see in the 14th chapter in detail. It has to be changed from tamas to rajas, hyperactivity, and from hyperactivity you go to sattva, which is the correct proper activity. So there is a path laid out. These are all good questions. So we will see. But right now, what we are trying to address is everybody is afraid of death, inevitable death. How to face that fact. That is what we said. So one by one, we will see that these questions. But these are all interesting questions, good questions. So now let's, any other questions before I move? Because how to live is not a taught. We are going to see that, right? See, we are talking about how to face the death, but later point of time, we will be taught how to live your life. When you try to live that life, you will experience that joy and vigor and thrive to move forward. So
I
a
mean,
big, yeah.
even though you know that death is unavoidable,
Hmm.
and you are going to die one day, you don't want to speed yourself to go to death, right? You have
Correct.
you want to live
Absolutely not.
life till.
No,
I
absolutely.
think that's the issue with a lot of people where they give up
Yeah.
and say, I'm just
Yeah.
ready for dying now.
Bec-
Everything in my life is all done, and
yeah.
I just, I'm ready to die now.
Yeah. And one point is very interestingly, as I said earlier, please pay the attention to that thing, right? Right now we are told how to face the death, but most of us do not know how to live our life.
True.
Art of living, that is what it's called. Art of life. Life is an art. How to live that life. That is being taught from verse 45 to 52. It's introduced, and in third, fourth, fifth chapter it is elaborated. How to live your life. So how to live your life is going to take care of these type of problems. So you'll be able to tell, means Krishna is going to tell you how to live your life properly. So that's very important. See, one thing is you have to be faced, means you have to be prepared to face some facts of your life. So once that preparation is done, you have to be taught how you can live your life efficiently. Do you want the life of a ant? Just come here and go after some time. If that is the case, what is the difference between you and a rock? So how can I live? Because some people even though they are successful, are they happy in their life? Look at the stories of these CEOs. They may make billions of dollars, but they need everyday sleeping pill to sleep. And their family relationship has completely screwed up. So later point of time, Krishna said, success and happiness is totally different. You can be successful and you can be completely happy. So a successful man needs success as well as the happiness. He should know, right? I mean, that's why we classify the wellness of an individual into different dimension. There is a physical wellness, there is an emotional wellness, there is an intellectual wellness, there is a spiritual wellness, and there is a social wellness. All these things has to be aligned for you to enjoy your life. So what lifestyle change you have to make so that all these wellness are ensured to the best as possible. And what you cannot achieve, you have to endure, but you have to put forth effort. You cannot just stay there and think that a God will come and give me everything tomorrow. That's not what Krishna is teaching. See, miracles can happen to everybody's life, but even the best person who claimed to have a lot of miracles, how many times he experienced a miracle? Every day, every hour, can you explain miracle? I'm just saying that those who believe in miracle, even for them, every day, every hour, you cannot expect miracle. Once in a lifetime, it may happen. And if you don't know how to live your life, you may have all the skills, even you may have luck, but that cannot be sustained. I'll tell you one example. Go and check the stories of those who won the lotteries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody checked it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, one Indian guy, right? In 1999, one guy, Indian guy in Franklin Park, won the lottery. I was so sad to see in 2019 or 2014, he's bankrupt.
Yeah.
He was living a decent life.
Yeah, their lives get destroyed.
Yeah, why? The lady luck plus them, right?
Yeah,
but
mismanagement.
Yeah, they don't know how to live their life.
Right, wrong people
That's
around
very
you
important.
and everything. Yeah.
And this is what we call as karma yoga. We are going to see this because this is an integral part of Gita. One of the 80%, 50 to 60% of Gita is talking about this. So these questions will be answered soon, very late. So we have only 5 minutes. So I'll introduce the topic, and next Sunday, we will dedicate our entire session for this particular topic. And please come up with all your questions on karma. But before we go, let me ask you, let's just do a quick brainstorm. What is the theory of karma, or what is your understanding of the karma theory? I saw that every state of India has this karma theory. I saw when I was in Tamil Nadu, people used to say karmam karma, right? Mahesh? People say that, right? Karmam.
Yes,
Karmam.
yeah.
Yeah, that
What
is
what is the meaning?
It's something bad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because this is my destiny. That is what people think, right?
Yes.
I typically saw, like when I was living in my house, the house owner always used to say, when the kids does something mischief, he will put his hand on her head and say karmam karmam.
Yeah. I mean, that's something like a scolding word. It's like something which should not.
Yeah, because that is, oh my God, this is my fate, destiny. You guys are putting me into that. That is one word. And in North India, they say, right, people say bhagyam and people say kismat. There are so many words are used. So I would like to hear from a couple of you, like, what is your understanding of this karma? Karma, and I mean, it became international now. It's an English word also. Even in Western people, they use the word karma.
Yeah, I mean, when they say what goes around comes around, you reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, that's what they mean.
Yeah.
If you do something bad, it will come back to you too.
Not necessarily bad, I mean, both good or bad. But basically, you reap whatever you're sowing.
Okay, so is it like a fate? Let me ask a few questions, and these are just to trigger some thoughts. We are going to discuss this from beginning till end. And
yes.
the reason why I wanted, means Arnabji, you have been asking me these questions multiple times. That is one.
Yes.
So we need to put everything into connect and sequenced, because
Perspective. Yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you. So karma, by karma you means that you are helpless. Is that what is your understanding? Like you got a birth. Some people think that it is because of karma. That means my own effort, is that going to make any difference? Because if I'm predestined to do this much, even if I study, I won't pass. So what is the point in my effort and my will and my working hard? What is your thought on that?
So my thought is through an analogy. Like somebody had once said that you're like a cow that's tied to a stake, and the amount of free will is the length of the rope that ties you to that stake. So that's how much you control. But then everything else besides that is outside of your control. You don't control that. So how do I think the big ticket items in life, like being born into a certain family, the big things that you accomplish in life, right?
Yep.
It sort of almost seems to as if come free to you.
Yeah.
Of course, we are working towards it. We are working very hard. But then so are the people who are not successful.
Yep.
They are also working very hard.
Okay.
So what determines who's successful, who's not successful?
Okay.
Evidently forces outside of our control, I'm sure.
Okay, so that's interesting. Yes, we'll talk about that. So that is one aspect. And so we need to understand, right? One is, what is this, the relationship between cause and effect? Because if you take science, and if the relationship between two variables is properly linear, when I change X by 5 units, there will be a linear change in Y.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So, and as long as I manipulate that X exactly in the same fashion, like if I change X by 5 units today,
there will be a proportional constant
proportional
change.
increment. It could be 15 or if it could be 20 or whatever is the relationship.
Yes.
Is going to happen.
Yes.
But in life, that is not the scenario.
No.
So why that type of, how do you scientifically model such a scenario of life? That is the first portion of our discussion. How to model in the real life situation. What is science perspective? What is statistics perspective? Or if you put this into a mathematical model, how do you represent the real life scenario? Because as I said earlier, like if in a linear equation, you can properly represent the changes of the independent variable, and you can see that the dependent variable will change exactly in a proportion as a predicted fashion. And those who study machine learning and all, you know that this is how we model systems. So in life, so
yes.
How to model the scenario?
Is it even possible?
Anything you can put under a framework, right? So at least how do you explain this mathematically using science? And then how do you extend this to karma? And then what is this karma theory? And what makes you birth after birth? How do you explain that? And once you are born because of karma, what exactly the effect of that karma in your day-to-day life? This much we need to see. It's a lot of topic. So this is the end-to-end analysis of karma. So I went through every scriptures, wherever the karma is referred, and I try to consolidate that into a holistic view. So next week, we will take a break because this is going to explain that those who die has to born again. So you need a logical explanation for that. So we will do that next week.
Rajesh, I think Paromita has a question. She's asking if, are you saying by modeling karma, we are able to modify it and say, negate some of the bad karma?
No, we cannot, because when you model, you will see that, because what least you will understand, you will get an explanation of certain things in life. Because I'll give you one example. Means one good example. Suppose I'm going in India. This is very common, right? So you are going to bus stop for catching a bus. The action is the same. Be at the bus stop at 9 o'clock. If this was a linear equation, as long as I'm there at the bus stop, I should get the bus. If this was a linear equation, properly modeled. But here the possibilities are many, right? Sometimes the bus may not come. It can happen. Second scenario is what? I get the bus exactly as I planned. So exactly the same result I planned. Second scenario, the first scenario was less than what I expected. Or sometimes third scenario is what? When I cross, when I get the street, and unexpectedly a friend came in a car and gave me a gift, means lift. So that is the third scenario. And the fourth scenario is what? I was trying to cross the road, another side, one car can come and hit me. Exactly the negative results. So, what exactly explains this? Means when I say mathematically modeling, we are using the same idea. It is not that you are going to model this with X, Y, Z, but at least how to model this means using the same technology or methodology we use in math. So we'll start with that and we'll try to understand. Means the science also talks about this. Means those who study the machine learning, we know that. We call it as what we call it as the features. There are hidden features, etc. So we'll use that and we will try to understand this a little bit more detail. So just
sorry, Rajaji, one quick question. In science, in modeling, we have like deterministic and stochastic. Stochastic being random, right? Isn't karma like more random than randomness itself?
Right. Exactly.
Can it be modeled at all?
Yeah, it means that is why the non-deterministic stage. So we need to understand what means. What are all the parameters? You're right. Means that is how we are going to model it. Because when I say model it, means you will identify that there are random variables. You use that scientific term for such scenarios. There is something called randomness. Science always explains certain things as random. Right? So we have to go into that detail, right? Right now we haven't started. So let's wait for that discussion to start to talk about that. So what is that randomness? We need to go in deep using the science itself.
So without wanting to, keep that or go too much into it, is randomness also the same as unfairness at all?
Unfairness, no. Yes. It means randomness here means it is hidden variable. That is the science stuffs. So, for example, I'll tell one good example. Let's say that if you have a carom board, so if the carom board is there, or if there is a billiard table is there, there is a ball. If you hit the ball with, say, a particular unit of force, what is the expectation? The ball should go straight.
Yes.
But when you hit, your practical phenomena, what you're saying is the ball is going 45 degrees.
Yes.
You have no idea what is happening with a direct perception. But over a little bit of examination showed that the board was a little bit
slanted.
Yeah. So in your calculation, that is completely hidden. There was a variable that also determines, because typically the output of any linear or non-linear model depends on a lot of input parameters. And some of these parameters are hidden. And what we are trying to say here is karma is a hidden parameter. And that means the karma means typically the output is calculated with all the parameters with a weight that is going to determine the output. I'll show that very mathematically, and I'll show that there are certain hidden variables in every situations we encounter. And I will quote the scriptures and show that exactly the similar language which talks about this hidden variable. That is what is surprised me. How the role of this hidden variable in the overall scheme of things. And what is your how do you handle that? So, and how do you understand that? Some things you cannot handle it, but how do you understand that? So that is very important in understanding the karma theory. So let's try to understand the karma. Let's try to understand the karma from end to end. And it is going to be a very interesting topic. We are going a little bit out of Bhagavad Gita, but since 6 or 7 people asked me this question offline, I thought it is worth to discuss this in detail in one session. So it's going to be a supplementary session next week, but it is karma. But come with all your questions. If you can put your questions in the WhatsApp prior to that, I would try to answer as much as possible. So let's take 1 week and try to understand that. So that will stop here. Stay safe and try to make use of this time. And in our Vedanta class, I was telling people, this is an opportunity to read something. Even our book library has a lot of books. So please read. I referred a book, Mind Over Medicine, which is very powerful. You can read that. It is very relevant for the time right now. So that is one choice. And you can read all the other books, as much books as possible, because it's an exercise for your brain also. So that's one thing. So this week we will have classes. Tomorrow we have machine learning, and Tuesday we have the Gita 7th chapter, which is again an interesting topic, totally different topic. Wednesday we have Python. Thursday we have Vedanta class, and Sunday we have Gina's meditation. So we will send the information. Those who are interested, please send out a request, and we will make sure that we are creating a group, and you can continue.
Rajesh ji, how long is that meditation session going to be for?
20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes maximum.
Okay, and Sunday morning, right?
Sunday morning, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So Gina is in the call. So if anybody has any question on that, you can ask Gina.
We will do a bit of yoga, pranayama, especially for the for our lungs. So we'll do pranayama and relaxation meditation as well.
Yep. So this pranayamas are actually, it is prescribed by the Ayush Ministry. They are publishing good material, especially to take care of this, specifically focused on this COVID-19 situation. It is led by Dr. Nagendra, who is one of the most pioneers of this field. So we will make use of those materials also a little bit, but this is very helpful. And please join that session.
Gina, if you can send me a few lines about it, what are you going to do? Then I can just send a mailer out to everybody then.
Okay.
The mailing list. Yeah.
Will do. We'll send it.
Okay.
I'll talk offline with you anyway.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care, and thank you. And yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh ji.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.